Hello, and welcome back to another 40k report for the channel.
It's Morbin time.
I've been a bit busy and ill lately to get any reports done or even play much 40k, but here's a battle I played a few weeks ago against Black Templars. No Abaddon this time, and no Helbrecht for the Templars either. I've changed my list up slightly, although the good old laser destroyer's still there. Anyway, let's take a look at the rosters. So, mission info and all that shiz. We're playing Abandoned Sanctuaries, and for secondaries I take banners, mutate, and grind, while Templars take banners, vows, and abhor. Here's deployment. Before we start, note that we're playing the whole base of each terrain piece as obscuring. Makes for a lot less faffing. All this amazing terrain was also built and painted by my opponent.
Impressive.
My 10-man Termi squad's in deep strike. I have a unit of rubrics on each flank, and the bulk of my army in the center. Here's a shot of my far right flank, where you can see the Mauler Fiend which was out of shot before. Here's the Templars center, with all units safely obscured, and the rest of their units over on the right. They have the drop pod with Devastators, and one unit of Van Vets, in deep strike. Black Templars get the first turn. Their movement's pretty conservative, with the unit of Van Vets jumping forward to claim this objective, but the big threats all stay behind cover to avoid the wrath of my Vindicator. Notably, though, the Redemptor on the right moves across, as I failed to take notice of the gap between the ruins and the edge of the board, meaning the Dreadnought can actually get line of sight on the Mauler Fiend. Zinch hears my prayers, though, and the Dreadnought turns out to be Sir Whiffy McQuifferton. I think it actually fails to do any damage, or does very little.
Gods fight on our side!
My turn 1 movement. As he didn't present any decent targets yet, I keep my Vindicator hidden. My Demon Prince and Termies move up aggressively, and I raise a banner on my home objective, which Templars also did in their turn. On the left flank, I send a squad of rubrics to start making progress towards the leftmost objective. And here's my right flank, with the Warp Flamers and Fiend moving up as much as possible. It's a long charge for the Fiend, so I just remove the Van Vets with combined Psychic and Shooting. Aha, I forgot to mention last turn, he ran some Intercessors up here, and he now devout pushes them onto the objective after I kill the Van Vets.
You got all the tricks, don't you?
Oh, I mutated my home objective, and I score grind this turn, so things are going well so far. Black Templars come out swinging in their turn 2, with 12 for primaries. They keep both of their Redemptors safe behind terrain, form a defensive wall of Intercessors in front of the Centurions who've waddled across to the right flank with a big advance roll, and then bring down the drop pod and 5 Van Vets on the left flank. Here's a closer look at the left flank, with the Devastators disembarking behind the drop pod, and the Van Vets deep striking down in front of it. And of the right flank, just so you can see the situation, and the paint jobs, a bit better. Shooting sees my Mauler Fiend brought down to 6 wounds.
Nothing happened.
I think perhaps the centralmost Dreadnought was able to draw a bead onto it, or perhaps it was just plinked down by other firepower. On the left flank, the Devastators unload onto my sneaking rubric squad and wipe them all out. Then, the Van Vets make their frickin' charge into my Demon Prince. He's gnarly, though, and just takes a couple of wounds, although he doesn't do a ton to them either, thanks to their Storm Shield. My turn 2, and I come out limping, with a measly 4 for primaries.
Start the damn
scoring
before I piss myself.
I send the Mauler up towards the Intercessors, and believe it or not, my Vindicator can actually draw a bead on the Devastators by moving across into the terrain. Finally, I bring my 10 Termies down on the far left flank. It was really tempting to bring them down in the middle, but I think they would have just been open to too much counterpunch there. Here's a closer shot. My dream would be to wipe out the Devastators and then charge the drop pod, staking an immovable claim on the left objective. And here's the right flank, with the Mauler Fiend surging ahead while my Helbrecht and smaller Termi squad trundle in the backfield. Psychic goes pretty well, with the Vindicator getting +1 to hit, the Demon Prince healing up and getting glamoured, and probably some other stuff which I've forgotten now.
I forgot! Oh my god!
Two big things in shooting. First up, the screen of Intercessors gets swiped out to a man. And combined shooting from the Vindicator and Terminators does the same to the Devastators. Then, the Terminators make their charge into the drop pod, praise frickin' Zinch. Also, the Mauler Fiend makes its charge into the 5 Centurions. In a tense scene, the Centurions overwatched the Fiend, bringing it down to 1 wound, but they couldn't quite finish it off.
I went, whew, I made it.
Well, in combat, I'm not expecting much of the crippled Fiend, but it surpasses all expectations, as it rolls like frickin' Vesuvius and kills 3 of the Centurions outright. Obviously they destroy it in return, but I'm relieved to see it contribute something before dying. The Terminators then muller the drop pod, and the Demon Prince starts turning the tide against the Venvits, killing all but 2 whilst remaining relatively healthy. So, I still only have 1 banner up, and I only scored 4 for primaries, but I do get mutate and grind again this turn, so it's not all bad score-wise. In fact, I may even be slightly ahead thanks to my secondaries. Templars turn 3. Thanks to my very successful turn 2, the tables have flipped, and Templars now only score 4 for primaries. They set up another Intercessor wall in the center, and behind that the Dreadnought and, I think, Eradicators, finally step into the terrain to start raining down fire. On the right flank his forces gather for a big push against the rightmost objective. In shooting, a hail of fire from the Dreadnought and Eradicators slays 4 Termies from the big unit. And 2 Terminators from the smaller unit also fall. Then, the big push comes, the Flamer rubrics are crushed, and the 2 surviving Centurions bellow a defiant challenge across the battlefield. Better news here, though, as the Demon Prince finishes off the Vanvets, and still has 7 wounds left. My turn 3. 8 for primaries. The Vindicator moves across and slightly into the terrain, giving it visibility of both of the Dreadnoughts, and the Centurions.
Thank you.
The leftmost Termies stay put, the Demon Prince flaps towards the central Intercessors, and the Termies, Exalted Sorcerer, and Helbrecht move to tackle the blob on the right objective. A closer look at the right flank. In Psychic, I finally cast a time spell, and resurrect a Termi over here. The rest of Psychic is pretty lackluster, as I thought I'd easily muller the Centurions, but they make an ungodly amount of feel-no-pain saves. The only other thing is that I'd Temporal Surge a cheeky unit of rubrics onto the central objective. In shooting, it turns out that I need everything I have, just to take out the Centurions. I think I even have to fire the Vindicator at them, which is annoying, but at least they finally die. The Helbrecht and Termies then charge the Crusader squad, while the Demon Prince charges the Intercessors in the center. Although both ensuing combats go quite well, neither of my targets get swiped out, with 1 model surviving from each squad.
I'm disappointed.
Templars turn 4, only 6 points for primaries this turn. Both of the Dreadnoughts stomp forward menacingly. Shooting sees the Demon Prince vaporized and a couple of rubrics slain, and a few wounds go on to the Helbrecht. The ground then shakes as both of the huge Dreadnoughts make their charges.
They came bounding over.
On the right, the Helbrecht is slain, but the Termies escape unscathed. In the center, the Dreadnought somehow completely whiffs and only manages to kill a single rubric. It may have rolled terribly, or maybe I just bossed my invent saves, I don't remember. Seeing the state of the board and what's already quite a big gap in the scores, as well as the late hour, Templars concede at this point. We quickly work out what secondaries I'll get for turn 4, so we can have a score total for the end of the battle round. And here we have it, 63-45 to Thousand Suns. I think it's possibly the first time I've scored 12 for Mutate Landscape, as it's usually only a 9 for me. Templars unfortunately didn't score anything for their Val's secondary. Despite a strong start, they also lagged behind on secondaries in the latter half of the game. Well, how about that? We're done with a minute to spare.
I told you exactly what happened for
9
minutes.
Overall, I'm happy with how my army performed. The Vindicator didn't do a ton compared to its previous outings, but that's okay. It was also quite nice having 4 rubric squads instead of the 3 I normally take. I think splurging 2 CP on the Demon Prince to make him super durable is still worth it, as Kabbalistic rituals provide a reliable way of regaining CP. Speaking of which, it was nice to get to use them again after a couple of outings with Abaddon breaking them. In this match I think the Templars' psychic defense let them down quite a bit, with generally poor rolls against my mortal wounds. Anyway, it was another fun game, and good to end the mini-rep drought. Not sure what my next report will be, although I may or may not be working on various varieties of demonic allies as we speak, so it's quite likely to be Tzeentch demons allied with Thousand Suns. Well, that'll do it for another report. Thanks to my opponent, thanks for watching, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, if you enjoyed the video. Till next time.